In this episode of History of Fan Anime, Episode 7, host William Chow delves into the communication methods employed by anime enthusiasts during the early 1980s and 1990s. The documentary explores both traditional letter writing and the emerging electronic communication methods of the era, highlighting the stark contrast between the internet of that time and its modern counterpart. William provides an in-depth look at how anime fans connected with fellow enthusiasts across the globe. He recounts his personal journey of seeking out different anime titles and information from local fan clubs. One organization that proved particularly valuable in this quest was the Cartoon Fantasy Organization, or CFO. This fan club had an extensive network, with chapters spread throughout Canada and the United States. Chow explains, the CFO provided a contact address for their club, allowing enthusiasts to write letters expressing their interest in learning more or even acquiring anime. A typical letter might read, "Dear CFO, I'm interested in Japanese animation. Could I get a catalog of the anime in your library?" The club would respond with a letter containing a catalog of potentially unseen anime titles and sometimes introduce the inquirer to other pen pals associated with the club. As the anime scene evolved, so did the methods of distribution. Chow recounts, "When we established Arctic Animation and made fan subs more accessible, people could obtain information from their local clubs and even the nascent internet. Fans would contact me via traditional mail and occasionally through electronic means such as BBS or email. In response, I'd send them a catalog of available anime. This list was in constant flux, and based on it, they could then request various titles." William Chow explores one of the most intriguing aspects of letter writing in the early anime fandom, its deeply personal nature. As Chow explains, the act of physically using pen and paper necessitated a level of care and attention that is often absent in modern digital communication. Fans had to write neatly, with good penmanship, as their handwriting was a direct reflection of themselves. Chow continues, "Some enthusiasts, particularly those blessed with exceptional handwriting, would invest considerable time and effort into crafting their letters. These weren't mere messages. They were personal artifacts, each one a testament to the writer's dedication to their passion for anime." As technology progressed, some people used word processing typewriters or traditional typewriters to type their letters. They'd put them in envelopes, add postage, and drop them in a mailbox. But what really stood out was the interesting stationery people used. Because internet access was limited to certain companies and institutions, particularly those with .gov domains, I'd often receive letters on official letterheads. One of the most memorable was receiving letters from NASA. NASA.gov was one of the government places with internet access at the time. He'd get quite a few letters from NASA requesting different anime. Clearly, someone at work was using company letterheads instead of blank paper for their anime requests. NASA wasn't the only corporation William received letters from. Employees from other major companies like Paramount Pictures, HP, IBM, and Microsoft also used company letterheads to send their anime requests. He recounts, "I've even received letters on Paramount Studios' letterhead, a staff member from Star Trek Voyager." While some of these requests for anime items might seem inappropriate on company stationery, one can't help but wonder if it wasn't for personal use, but perhaps research for Star Trek. After all, there are a few anime references in the show. Chow continues, describing his own experience with unique correspondence methods. "During my time at Radio Shack, we utilized what was called a 4-part memo, essentially a sheet of paper with 3 carbon copies beneath. This proved particularly useful as it eliminated the need for photocopying. Given that photocopiers weren't as ubiquitous or affordable at the time, having carbon copies allowed me to maintain a record of my correspondence without additional effort." He recounts, "I also received correspondence from various CFO chapters and convention organizers, including those behind the anime section of San Diego Comic-Con, Animathon, and Sakura-Con. Iannis Productions, which published the RPG Encyclopedia, also sent lots of correspondence. These pieces of stationery are now like collectible items." Chow continues to describe the unique aspects of fan mail during this period. Another interesting aspect was the variety of paper people used. Some would write on fluorescent yellow or green paper, so bright it was almost blinding to read. I remember one person who'd change the color of their stationery every other month and write cryptic messages. It's fascinating how much time, money, and effort people put into these letters. Chow explains, anime magazines of the era often included stationery as part of their publications. Fans would utilize this blank mailing stationery or postcards to write to fellow enthusiasts. The host would recognize these distinct images, perhaps from a 1993 or 1994 issue, featuring artwork from popular series such as Bubblegum Crisis. The documentary highlights the personal touch fans added to their correspondence. Fans frequently included additional items with their letters, Chow notes. Since they were already paying for postage, they would often enclose artwork clippings from anime magazines or stickers. One of the most cherished inclusions was a photograph. It provided a tangible connection to the person on the other end of the correspondence, especially given the challenges of sharing digital images during that period. William Chow transports viewers back to an era before digital imagery dominated the internet landscape. He explains, this was a time when JPEGs and GIFs couldn't be easily transmitted over the internet. Attaching a photo to an email was a time-consuming process due to the slow download speeds. Chow elaborates on the technological limitations of the period, stating most internet users were relying on dial-up connections with 9600 baud or 14.4K modems. Even with the more advanced 33K modems, downloading a single image could take anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes. The host continues to paint a picture of the technological landscape, noting digital cameras were not yet commonplace. The process of sharing a photograph involved taking a picture with a film camera, having it developed, and then scanning it using a flatbed scanner. Chow emphasizes the scarcity of convenient scanning technology, adding, credit card-sized scanners and dedicated photo scanners were not yet available on the market. He concludes by highlighting the sentimental value attached to physical photographs during this period. Receiving an actual photograph was considered a special treat. These tangible images often became cherished mementos, serving as a physical connection to distant friends and fellow anime enthusiasts. William Chow explores the innovative communication methods employed by anime enthusiasts during the early days of fandom. He delves into the world of bulletin board systems, BBS, a precursor to modern internet forums, which played a crucial role in connecting fans before widespread internet access. Chow introduces viewers to the prototype Generation BBS, a system he and his colleagues operated to serve anime fans who lacked internet access or were unfamiliar with services like AOL. He explains, the BBS allowed users to dial in, create an account, access anime information, engage in discussions about current events, and download valuable resources such as lists of available animations. On occasion, users even had the opportunity to engage in real-time chats with other enthusiasts. The host shares his personal experiences with the BBS, recounting, I found great satisfaction in connecting with callers, especially those dialing long distance, despite the associated costs. The interaction bore a resemblance to a scene from the television series Lost, where characters communicate via a rudimentary computer interface. A typical exchange might begin with someone typing, "Hello, are you there?" To which I'd respond, "Yes, I'm here. How can I help you today?" While the conversation progressed at a measured pace, it offered the unique advantage of real-time communication, whilst a significant improvement over traditional mail or even early email systems. William Chow explains that the bulletin board system, BBS, offered a much faster means of communication compared to traditional email or postal mail. The real-time nature of BBS interactions eliminated the need for lengthy waiting periods typically associated with other forms of correspondence. Chow recounts some of the humorous incidents that occurred on the BBS. As a system operator, SysOp, he had the ability to control various aspects of the system as users dialed in. He recalls a regular user who frequently utilized the buy and sell section of the BBS, a precursor to modern platforms like Craigslist. In those days, classified ads in newspapers or BBS buy and sell sections were popular methods for reaching tech-savvy individuals. The host shares a particularly memorable incident. On one occasion, this user was in the process of typing a message that began with, "I am interested in selling a used." Suddenly, I seized control of the keyboard, swiftly typed "girlfriend," hit the post button, and logged off. I changed his password. The original user was left in a state of confusion, wondering what had transpired, and frantically attempting to regain access to their account. Chow elaborates on a crucial aspect of the BBS that made such pranks possible. The system was limited to a single user at a time, operating on a single telephone line rather than a multi-line or internet setup. If someone was already connected, subsequent callers would encounter a busy signal and be forced to try again later. This meant that once a user had been locked out of their account, they were essentially powerless to correct any unauthorized posts until they managed to log back in. To give a modern equivalent, imagine you've just finished a great meal at a new Thai restaurant. Like many people, you grab your phone to post about it on Facebook or Twitter. You're typing, "Wow, this is great. This is my first time trying," when suddenly someone takes over your account, finishes the post with an embarrassing comment like, "Backdoor fun," changes your password, and logs you out. You'd panic, realizing you can't get back in to edit or delete the post. And it's out there for everyone to see. Back in the BBS days, there was a function to view all new messages. Regular users would log in to see what's new, and any new messages or replies would appear at the top. So people would start reading this message and replying with jokes and comments, and you couldn't do anything about it until you managed to log back in. However, the real treasure trove of fan communication came in the form of letters. Chow continues, "Over the years, I've received an overwhelming number of requests for videos, information, and anime. To give viewers an idea of the sheer volume, imagine those long comic book boxes you see in stores. I've filled approximately 3 of those with letters and correspondence over the years." The host goes on to describe his preservation efforts. "I've made a conscious effort to keep many of these letters. Some have been digitized and scanned into the computer, while the more mundane ones have been shredded. However, I've held on to the truly special ones, recognizing their historical significance to the anime fandom." Looking ahead to future episodes, Chow adds, "In upcoming installments of this series, I plan to share some of these remarkable pieces of correspondence. They offer a unique glimpse into the passion and dedication of early anime fans. I encourage viewers to subscribe and engage with the content to ensure they're notified when these episodes are released." Let me read a couple of examples to give you an idea of the enthusiasm these fans had. Here's one from Julian in Marietta, Georgia. "To William, I have vastly enjoyed your work on Kimagure Orange Road. I was introduced to Orange Road by John at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh. Recently, I left CMU and transferred to a chiropractic school in Georgia with no anime club nearby. Everywhere I've been, I seem to have accidentally triggered a need for anime." That's typically what happens. You show friends different anime, and suddenly everyone wants more because it's so different. He continues, "I was recently at Brown University in Rhode Island and showed some friends Kimagure Orange Road and other stuff, and now they have a club. When I was back home in Connecticut, I triggered a desire for anime among friends and comic book dealers. So thanks to your club for providing me and others the enjoyment of anime as I know it. I praise and thank you all for all you've done." This exemplifies the enthusiasm of anime fans wanting to share their passion with others. William Chow presents another letter from an anime enthusiast. This correspondence comes from David, stationed at McLennan Air Force Base. Chow notes that the military has produced several intriguing stories from anime aficionados who likely faced some good-natured teasing from their colleagues for their passion. Despite potential ridicule, these service members maintained their enthusiasm for anime. David writes, expressing gratitude for the tapes he received. Chow mentions that David is particularly fond of the series Maison Ikoku. Chow draws attention to a unique aspect of David's letter, a color printout of Kyoko, a character from Maison Ikoku, adorning the top of the page. He explains that this was a notable feat at the time, given the rarity of color dot matrix printers in that era. Reading from the letter, Chow quotes David, "Thank you for the tapes that you sent me in the past. They are probably the most watched tapes in my entire collection. I really enjoyed Maison Ikoku. I have about 10 people who always ask me, when are you going to get more? So I thought I'd better get some Maison Ikoku episodes before they get hostile. Chow observes that David has successfully converted a significant number of his fellow Air Force personnel into anime fans. Moving on, Chow introduces another letter, this one from John in Fort Lee, New Jersey. John writes regarding the Maison Ikoku subtitling project. First, let me express my greatest gratitude for the work that you and your project members have done. Subtitling Maison Ikoku is an enormous undertaking, but it opens up a large door for many of us anime fans who don't understand Japanese. You have my highest respect. Chow comments on the popularity of Maison Ikoku, noting that many fans began their anime journey with such unconventional shows. He explains that these were primarily romance stories, adhering to what was known as the 3 Gs at the time. Chow teases a future episode dedicated to explaining the concept of the 3 Gs, encouraging viewers to subscribe and like the video to ensure they receive this information. The host then introduces a final letter from John in Oakville, Ontario. John writes, "I'm really getting into the habit of being very grateful to you and your club. Thank you once again for sending me some of your fantastic subtitle tapes. My friends and I enjoy them thoroughly. Extend our congratulations to everyone involved in producing the subtitles, especially for Assemble Insert, which is hilarious." Chow provides context for Assemble Insert, describing it as an unusual project they undertook because his colleague Daisuke found the manga and anime charming. He recommends viewers check out Assemble Insert if they have the opportunity. John's letter continues, "Of course, we are all now totally addicted to anime, and we are busy trying to gain converts from Oakville's sizable Star Trek The Next Generation fanzine." Chow explains that this exemplifies a common phenomenon of the time, where anime fans often emerged from science fiction fandoms, particularly Star Trek enthusiasts, colloquially known as Trekkies. Chow elaborates on the crossover between Star Trek and anime fandoms, noting that many Trekkies were surprisingly receptive to anime. He observes that in numerous communities, anime fandom often intersected with broader science fiction interests, including both Star Trek and Star Wars. Reflecting on these letters, Chow explains that they provide insight into the experiences of early anime fans who struggled to find content in their local areas. These enthusiasts resorted to writing letters and occasionally sending electronic messages in their quest for more anime. He draws a parallel to his own experience, recalling his surprise and delight upon discovering the unique and entertaining nature of anime. Chow expresses hope that modern viewers find similar enjoyment in anime. However, he notes a significant difference between then and now. The current lack of the same open and friendly communication among anime fans, especially regarding anime genres outside their usual interests. He observes that some contemporary fans are reluctant to explore different anime styles, potentially missing out on entertaining content simply because it doesn't align with their preconceived notions or preferences. In conclusion, Chow cautions against closed-mindedness in anime viewing habits, suggesting that by limiting oneself to familiar genres or styles, fans might overlook series that could prove just as entertaining as their usual fare. Your engagement with our content is invaluable. We encourage you to interact with our videos through likes and comments, as these actions significantly enhance our visibility on the platform, allowing us to reach a broader audience interested in the cultural impact of anime in the Western world. For those interested in supporting our research and production efforts, we have established various channels for financial contribution. Detailed information about these support options can be found in the video description below. To complement your viewing experience, we have compiled an extensive list of resources related to this documentary series, including a comprehensive episode guide categorized by topic. These materials are accessible via the links provided in the description. We also have Patreon featuring exclusive content and behind-the-scenes insights. This resource offers additional materials that enhance our documentary series, including extended interviews, archival footage, controversial content, and in-depth analyses. Furthermore, we regularly update our blog with supplementary information, addressing frequently asked questions, sharing historical anecdotes, and showcasing visual artifacts, and personal stories on the website via the links provided below.